throw it at.
Not working level. That doesn't turn off.
Is that the one that was giving the echo?
Just switched it.
Throw it at.
Not working level. That doesn't.
It's microphone 11 and I'm just trying to take the
Because it doesn't turn off. I can't get it in.
Right, excellent. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. This is the Planning Advisory Committee of Frome Town Council. I'm Steve Tanner. I'll be chairing this evening's meeting. We want to make our meetings available to as many people as possible, regardless of where they are. So we use a hybrid setup of here in person at the Town Hall chamber and online via Zoom. Little housekeeping. Emergency exit is to the rear corner of the room and the assembly points in the car park. Toilets can be accessed at the end of the corridor on the right-hand side, or there is an accessible toilet to the right of the lift. Any panelists on Zoom, please use the electronic raise hand by clicking on the participants button at the bottom of your screen. Those in the room, please raise your hand. Attendees on Zoom, please pose questions through the Q&A board. Attendees' names will become visible on the questions board for the record as your question is answered. Those attendees in the room, again, please raise your hand. Tonight, Owen's going to clerk. Jane will manage the questions board and participant settings. The meeting will be recorded for monitoring purposes, and we will live stream to our YouTube channel. Thank you. So, agenda item number 1. Any questions, comments, or information from the public or councillors? No? Okay, I'm just going to, as most people probably already know, the Selwood Garden Community application was approved by the Secretary of State this afternoon. I'm just going to read out the comment that we as Frome Town Council have put on our social media already today. In response to the decision that Selwood Garden Community Development has been given the go-ahead by the Secretary of State, the Chair of the Frome Town Council's Planning Committee, Steve Tanner, said, "I understand our mixed feelings and real concern about the impact of this development on our local infrastructure and about this decision. Frome Town Council has stayed at the table for over 5 years, working closely with the developer and Somerset Council to push for the very best possible outcome for Frome. This means proper infrastructure, improvements to the A361, A362 junction, investment in community buildings, employment opportunities, and making sure active travel is built in from the start, not as an afterthought. Crucially, this scheme secures approximately 510 new affordable and socially rented houses for local people, which is something Frome desperately needs. So while we recognise people's concerns, we also believe this approach is much better than the inevitable piecemeal developments coming forward, and we will continue to work with developers to drive forward the best possible development for Frome." So that's the statement that we put out earlier on. Right, moving on to agenda item number 2, to agree any apologies of absence received.
So we've received apologies from Fiona Barrows and Lindsay Mayhew.
If you're all in agreement?
Yeah.
Happy with those? Thank you very much.
And that's unanimous, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Item number 3, declaration of any members' interests. What we have today? No. Great, thank you very much. Item number 4, agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of February 2006. Actually, I'll take number 4 and number 5 together. Item number 5, to agree the minutes of the meeting held on 19th of March 2026. So unless anyone's got any issues with those. Yeah. Thank you.
And that's unanimous.
Great. Item number 6, consider major plan applications received. Over to Jane.
Thank you. So we're going to discuss the certificate of lawfulness by people for Packsaddle first. And if you'll just bear with me, I'm going to try and have you made me a co-host? Just going to try and let Tim in. This worked seamlessly earlier where we tried it. Okay, so hopefully, Tim, you should be directed to join and we be able to see you on the screen.
Yes. So, oh, there we go. Yes. Can you see me, everybody?
Yeah, we can see and hear you.
Excellent.
Just bear with me while I just talk councillors through the application. So, this is an application for a certificate of lawful existing use. So a certificate of lawfulness is a legal document that would be issued by Somerset as the local planning authority. The application is seeking a lawful determination that the land outlined in red on the site plan, which we have forgotten to put on the PowerPoint, apologies, but you all know where the red line is. You all know that. So it's seeking to determine that it is lawfully open space on the basis that it has been used as open space continuously for 10 years or more. So this application is not determined against planning policy or whether there'll be any potential impacts on neighbouring properties, all the things that we normally consider when we're looking at planning applications. So in this case, it's up to the applicants, PFP, to prove by providing evidence that the land has been used as open space. And I'm sure you've all seen the accompanying evidence online. So for Somerset to be able to refuse this application, they would have to produce evidence to demonstrate that it hasn't been used as open space continuously for 10 years. And the burden of proof, as I understand it, I'm sure Tim will correct me if I'm wrong, burden of proof is on the applicants, so PFP. And as I've already said, there's lots of evidence that's been provided. So why are PFP making this application? So by clearly proving that land is open space, this will hamper or should hamper any future planning applications submitted by Live West, and Somerset would also have to consider their position that the land is development land. So hopefully that's outlined what a certificate of lawfulness applications, because we don't normally discuss them because we don't get consulted, because actually unless we're in a position to provide any evidence contrary to the evidence that's been provided by the applicants, there's not reason for us to discuss them. So over to councillors for any question or questions, if anybody's got any questions for Tim.
On the floor, or Tim, want to say anything before?
Yeah, I've got a few things to say, but I'm happy to do it by way of questions if that would be more helpful. I'm easy either way.
Thanks very much. I'm not going to subject anybody to a full campaign speech. You'll be pleased to hear. I know you're all familiar with the campaign. There are two objectives really behind our Clued application, and Tim can obviously speak to the legal planning ones. But there's a second one I just wanted to touch on for a minute or two, if that's okay. As you know, we've been fighting for the last 4 years as PFP to save Packsaddle Community Fields. We believe it's an open green space at the centre of a community that loves the space, uses the space and derives enormous benefit from the space. During our campaign over the last few years, there have been various things said by Live West and by Somerset Council which we have taken issue with and which we've found to be erroneous and misleading and sometimes offensive. And those have included that this land has always been an agricultural space for the last 40, 50 years, which is patently 100% wrong. They've also stated often that the community's use of this space has been unlawful and that we've been trespassers. That, as far as I understand it, as a point of law is 100% wrong. And they've also said that this space has always been determined to be a development site, which is wrong, in that it has not been ever adopted as a development site, and it's still, as we sit here today, not a development site. So setting aside for a minute the things that Tim can speak to about the legal planning objectives of this Clued application, the secondary one for us as PFP is about setting the record straight. And it's about saying, if there is a debate that needs to be had about Packsaddle Community Fields and the merits for or against building on it, let's at least start with a truthful telling of the facts and of the history of Packsaddle Community Fields. And we think that there has been an agenda to willfully and cynically retell that story to suit the objectives of the County Council and of Live West. So we think that facts and truth are important, and we say let's at least start from a point of saying, well, this is the truth, these are the facts, and then let's move on to talk about the merits of planning application. I hope that's okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. Yeah, that's really good. Andy, yeah, go on.
Can I just clarify what PFP is looking for from the planning committee here? As Jen mentioned, we don't normally get consulted on these. we don't have a great deal of decision-making power in anything, as well you know. So if you could just be clear on what it is you'd like us to do.
I'll let Tim perhaps
Shall I take
speak
that one,
to
Tim?
it. Oh, go on,
Yeah,
Tim.
I
Sorry,
can
go on,
take-
carry on.
Yeah, sorry, no, I thanks, Toby. You're absolutely right, sir. So this is, if you like, where lawyers get quite excited, because this is nothing to do with planning. This is all about evidence. So what the town council and everybody can do is they can write letters of support, which are not supporting the principle of the development, but supporting from their own first-hand knowledge that the site has been used in their experience continuously for more than 10 years. So if people have only been in the area for 7 years, there's no point writing in. If people have been there for 10, 15, 20 years and they can speak to its use continuously during that period, and that doesn't mean someone's been there every day to check is it being used, then that builds up the evidence in support of this application being certified as lawful. So that's really what we're looking to do. It is an evidence-based letter which will support the application. That would be very helpful. Does that help?
Tim, when you say an evidence-based letter of support from the town council, what? I'm just trying to think what evidence, other than a statement of fact or truth.
Yeah.
that the town council-
Well, you've just defined evidence. I mean, evidence has to be truthful, and it has to be factual. If the town council can say, "Where's the town council?" No, because we have operated in this area for X number of years, from our own knowledge that this has been used as open space for more than 10 years. But it might be just as strong if it came from individual members, so councillors, members of the people in the meeting, anyone. It doesn't have to necessarily come from the town council. It's more important it comes from people that can speak to it. So it doesn't need to be the organisation as such, although it can be if the town council is happy saying that. But it's not a question of providing statutory declarations or any written evidence like photographs or anything like that. It is simply speaking truthfully from the knowledge of the person or organisation that's submitting the representation, that in their knowledge it has been used continuously for at least 10 years as open space. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Tim.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, Mark, you've probably been here longer than everyone to put together.
Since God was a boy. Yeah, my family moved to Mendip Drive, the bit that overlooks the fields, in 1970, when it was a farm. And I remember it being a farm, then I remember it becoming a housing estate. So I'm happy to put my name to a letter saying that I've known it that long, and that as long as I've known it, that piece of the farm, or what was a farm, has been used for these purposes. I may need some help with dates and times and things, but Toby, I'm sure you can supply me with that. And yes, I'll put my name to that and sign it as councillor if that helps.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I've been here 15 years now, I think, and having been up there quite a lot and participating in a planning inquiry and an appeal inquiry, and listening to numerous residents state their case, I'm absolutely convinced that 10 years plus is absolutely the right thing to do. So I'm happy to put my name to it as well.
I'm afraid I've not been here that long.
Right. So what we don't really vote on this, do we? Because it's.
Well, we can do. I mean, if, as the town council, as the planning committee representing the town council, we can make comment, and you as councillors can also make comment individually. If you want the committee to make comment, then we would have to vote to accept our comment.
Okay. No, great, Polly.
Is this also a moment to add any other level of support, Tim? I mean, there's obviously, we've been here for that amount of time, but I'm not from that side of town at all. Couldn't really speak to that particularly. So I obviously don't want to write anything that's just on hearsay. Although I do understand it to be used for leisure. And walking, etc. But is there anything else that we can do as a committee to support this?
The answers no, but thank you. So it's very important that it stays on the evidence. The legal test which Jane talked about is the balance of probabilities. So is it more likely than not? The onus of proof, as Jane said, is on the applicant, but it is just a balance of probabilities. All the evidence points one way. There is no evidence to the contrary. The only slight interruption, and I think we can't even call it that, was when a few cows decided to go wandering around. That didn't materially change the character of the use of the land. The public continued to use it, and the cows, I think, escaped. So that didn't change anything. So no, it's a very kind offer, but I think actually we just keep it focused on everyone that submits can speak to 10 plus years. Then it makes it a much easier case for the officer. I mean, I think it's due to be determined by May the 1st. I haven't seen anyone say that's not the case. There are some, I think, 3 comments from councillors and a retired planning officer at Mendip who are supportive. And I think we just keep it focused on that. That would be helpful.
Tim, can I just ask though, having, as I said, having been at the original planning meeting where it was, where the Somerset councillors didn't approve it, and then having been at the appeal hearing and listening to, I think it was 20 plus residents sort of explain their use of the land going back, 30, 40 years, as Councillor Dorrington just said. On the balance of probability, I mean, doesn't that qualify for us to make basically a statement that on the balance of probability, we believe that this land has been used for 10 years plus continuously?
So to just dig a bit deeper, what is your evidence for saying that you believe it's been used for more than 10 years, other than the fact you were at a planning inquiry and a planning committee meeting and heard other people say that?
Well, haven't the evidence, but again, I'm referring back to the balance of probability.
Yes.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we shouldn't perhaps use the term balance of probability, where so first of all, we fully support the application that's been made by PFP because they've clearly provided evidence which we believe to be true and accurate, and that a certificate of lawfulness should be issued on that basis. And as the town council, who have been the town council in Frome since, God, I can't remember the date, 74, thanks Jackie, and me as a officer of the town council, having worked here for 19 years, can confirm that the land has been used as open space continuously for 10 years or more.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
The balance of probability is for Somerset's lawyers to look at, so I think we should stay clear of that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, if I could just suggest as well, because the town council's been there since 1970s, are there retired councillors who might have that first-hand knowledge, who might be able to speak to this as well?
I think one of them's already commented on the planning portal.
Right. Okay.
Philip.
Sorry, please go. It's difficult because I can't see everyone, but please go ahead.
Yeah, I've actually been in for him 40 years this year. I'm not sure whether I could actually write a letter because, as Tim says, if it's evidence-based, I think the last time I went anywhere near that site, apart from recently, was when our two daughters are in their 40s now. We went sledging once. So I, having been here 40 years, but I can't say, as you said, Tim, it needs to be evidence-based, that I would have evidence and could back that up by saying that I know that it's been used by residents. It probably has. You can see the dog walking paths there, look on the slide. But I can't do that because you're saying it needs to be evidence-based because you're trying to put forward a legal point. So I'm also sort of slightly questioning the fact that the council make a statement, because how can we as a council, unless it's sort of something that the rangers visit regularly or something happen, how can we state that it has been used for that purpose? And also, I'm not quite sure what use as open space actually means. Are you saying use of open space because it's there? And I'm not against what's going on, but I just don't want to. I can't put my name to that.
So do we
without
actually
being clear about it?
we come down to 3 individual letters, one from Steve, one from Jane and one from Mark, because each of them can individually attest to having seen that.
I think that's the individual stance. I mean, as a councillor, as Jane said, are we confident that Frome Town Council know that this site for 10 plus years has been open to the public and the public have used it? And that's a council decision rather than an individual decision.
I think it's what Tim said that stuck with me, is that if we were having a conversation, right, or sitting in a pub or Toby's garden having a cup of tea or something, we might, it's been used. But as Tim says, if this is going to go for a legal decision, and as Tim says, it has to be somebody that's lived here for a certain amount of time and knows that it has been used as open space, then I think we just need to be clear and careful about that.
So I think it's reasonable to say that perhaps with the exception of Mark, I'm not quite sure, all of you have not been councillors here for the last 10 years.
No.
But I suppose I'm the constant, and I think I would be able to advise councillors that it has been used as open space for a period of 10 years or more. And I think so the principle of not having been councillors for the last 10 years would probably apply to most of our councillors. But I believe that council, or us representing the council, can agree or confirm that that land has been used for that purpose for 10 years or more, based on our collective knowledge as a council. Yeah.
Is it not reasonable to say that as we are, as a council, completely aware that it's owned by Somerset Council and it is unfenced, ergo, it's not, it's an open space of land where people can walk and have always been able to do that?
That is an absolute fact, but the point here is that it has to, has been used for that purpose for 10 years, irrespective of whether there's a fence there or not.
What's the, what have you written down, Jane?
You want me to say it again?
Yeah, say it again, yeah. And then I think we vote on that, otherwise I think we're going to tie ourselves up in more legal knots.
Okay, so maybe with a little bit of polishing, but along the lines of fully support the application that PFP have clearly demonstrated through the evidence provided, which we agree is true and accurate, and that a certificate of lawfulness should be issued. The Town Council also confirm that this land has been used continuously for a period of 10 years or more as open space.
I'm happy with that. I'll propose that.
Tim's actually got his hand up.
No, you can't vote.
Oh, I was definitely not trying to hijack the vote. Sorry, if the voters, are you going to take the vote? And then I've just got a comment to make.
I was going to, so I
I'm
mean,
sorry, put my hand up. I'll put my hand up.
do you want to do you want to say something or not?
Did you have a suggestion for a different response?
I think that response is good. The point that I was going to make, which ties in with what you've just said, is the point about open space. And there was a question earlier about what actually is open space, and you're voting on it, and it refers to open space. There is a definition of open space in the NPPF, and it's very short, and I can just read it, and then you can see if it accords with what you're going to be voting on, which is all open space of public value, including not just land, but also areas of water, which offer important opportunities for sport and recreation and can act as a visual amenity. And I think that ticks the boxes with the fields. It doesn't need to be publicly owned. It can be privately owned. And DP16 itself talks about cemeteries, for example, and railway embankments, all of which are in private ownership. It's about having public value, which offer important opportunities for sport and recreation. I think that ticks your box if you're thinking about what actually is open space.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Should we vote again? Yes.
So that was proposed by Steve and seconded by Mark, and the vote is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. I can always rely on us to go around in
Thanks for your
circles.
continued effort,
Yeah.
team.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I thought it would be a. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. Well, yeah, you know. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they need locking out?
So Jackie knows how to get in.
So-
Excellent, thank you. Right, let's move on to the next one, please. Owen.
Yeah, so we've got a few more. This is agenda number 897, 21 Stoughton View. Erection of a two-storey extension to the side of an existing building, which will act as a self-contained annex. Can see a street view image of the building there to the left and the existing layout on the right-hand side of the image there. And this is the proposed layout. And you can see the section at the bottom of the site plans there, which show the kitchen and living dining room and a bedroom upstairs. So it's a self-contained annex, it's been called. And there's the elevations there. So the bit to the left, on the left-hand image.
About it. That's it. Great. Any comments, questions from anyone? Right, Polly.
Yes, in my ward. What we have said with these things in the past is that provided it does suit the area, we usually say something along the lines of provided it's not used as a separate address or an Airbnb, that it's, do we have the right to say that here?
Jane might clarify.
I love that. Nicely done.
Yes, Polly, you're absolutely right. Normally when it's a self-contained annex, and we haven't got an issue with the development, if you like, we normally ask that it is conditioned so that it cannot be sold or let separately from the main dwelling. the reason that we say that is because if it becomes a dwelling in its own right with its own curtilage, one, you've created a new residential plot, but that then has impacts on.
I take issue with the term extension here. I mean, it really isn't an extension, it really is a separate building. And obviously it's a good use of their land if they need a small dwelling to fit extra people in. So it makes sense. And that's okay, but as long as you're saying it's not a separate
I think
That's the point of the.
I think the challenge from the Frome Society was that it's impossible to police that after the fact. That, there is no enforcement. I quite like their suggestion that they design it with one front door for both parts of it, so that it's sort of structured as an added piece of the existing house, because otherwise it is going to be let out. It's going to need its own parking spaces, etc., etc. Just doesn't make sense.
I'm looking at the floor plan that says proposed extension annex, and it has 2 front doors. And also they've put in not for an extra, but they've indicated that there will be a parking space in front of that property. And I see it, as Polly said, I see it as a property, not as an extension, because there is no linkage to the property at all. There's no access at all. It's an annex, yeah, but not an extension.
No, but yeah.
I mean, to me, it like Polly says, it seems very much yes.
We're assuming that they're going to sell it on. It could be for an elderly relative. It could be for a young sort of son or daughter that can't afford to buy a house in Frome. So I don't know. Jane, you want to say something?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. I think whilst it's true that there is no enforcement that would stop it from being let separately, that would depend on whoever's signing the lease, whether or not they want to do any research. But if they tried to sell it separately, any land search would reveal that there is a condition saying that it cannot be sold or let separately, and that would cause them significant problems. Any good solicitor would advise the purchaser that condition should be removed before they purchase it. So they'd have to submit a subsequent application to ask for that condition to be removed. That's it.
I'm happy with the design as it is. I mean, I don't know why they're doing it, but it seems okay to me.
We're going with no objection.
I'm going to propose no objection. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Subject to the
Condition.
that condition, condition of no sale or lease. So I'll propose no objection subject to that.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
And the next one.
Okay. Item number 898, 72 Castle Street, Frome, replacement of all UPVC windows, all existing timber windows, sorry, with UPVC double glazed casement windows. This is we've seen similar applications in this area recently. It's within the conservation area. It's part of the Piggeries development, which has been referenced in the response from Civic Society. There are also some errors in the design and access statement and the heritage statement. Look like they're cut and paste errors, but the DNA suggests that it's outside the conservation area in one paragraph, and the heritage statement actually incorrectly states that they'll be replaced with timber windows, which does not match the title of the application and arguably doesn't fully assess the heritage impact. So, obviously we've objected to a number of similar recent applications by Live West on that road.
Yeah, I think we'd object on the same basis.
We just need clarification. We need we need to establish, are they going to be wooden or are they going to be UPVC? Because if one saying one thing and one saying another. We don't know what we're voting for here, do we, really?
Yeah, I mean, in the description on the, as it's been presented to us from
UPVC.
Somerset, it states
Yeah.
UPVC.
So at the moment, are they double glazed timber? Is that what they are?
Yes, they are, yeah.
They're double glazed already, but they're timber. And so the potential is that they're asking to replace it for a cheaper. Yeah.
I mean, timber windows are, more expensive,
Yeah.
replace and require a more regular maintenance.
And is this a privately owned property? No.
So by Live West,
Oh, it's owned by Live West.
all things go back to
It's Guinness Trust, this one.
Oh, Guinness.
Guinness.
Yeah.
So they're probably looking for it because it can be taken care of more easily, I would say. So it suggests that it's outside the conservation area, but it definitely is inside the conservation area. And it really is up to the Guinness Trust to observe that conservation, yeah.
I mean, they
Shouldn't have been ratified, really, should it, with all the inaccuracies in the DNO statement? I mean,
It should be,
possibly should have been thrown out.
it should arrive
Yeah,
correctly
properly.
with us.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, support, good, healthy environment inside, social housing, and UPVC windows would definitely help that. But if that's against the conservation area requirements, then we can't pass it, can we?
And I think that was the objection on the previous ones in the conservation area, wasn't it?
Yeah. There were others that weren't in the conservation area that were
okay
It seems as though when the houses were built, either it was a condition or the developer thought, right, well, we'll put, because it's a conservation area, we'll put wooden frame windows in. Now that they're going to be more costly to maintain, and if they have deteriorated and need replacing, they're trying to get around that in terms of cost to do UPVC. So I don't really see the point of the application. They should really be replacing like with like.
They should, but I think they should apply to say,
Well, they should do it.
that they should apply to
Correctly,
say
yes, I agree.
that they are, well, you don't know what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is it that big of a deal that they get that on a modern looking house, even if that, because that's the side of the street that looks extremely modern, and I don't honestly think anyone would notice if they were UPVC, and if that makes more sense because it's easier to take care of in a social housing setting, then I think they should be UPVC. I don't think there's a massive big deal. I don't think anybody would look at it and go, oh my God. I honestly think they should propose to change that part of it, of the conservation area. So if it goes against what the conservation area states right now, then we can't pass it, but I think they should propose it if it makes more sense for the conditions.
I think what you've said, Polly, we have applied in other areas in the conservation area and with housing association properties. We feel that the comfort of the people who live in the properties, their welfare, etc., is important. The only reason that this one is slightly different, and on the two previous applications that we've seen on this development, is because it's part of what was called the Piggeries development. So it was the redevelopment of part of the Trinity area. And at the time when it was built, it won quite a lot of design awards. Because of how it had been designed, its sensitivity to the conservation area, etc. So I do. Not much has happened to change any of the properties in the Piggeries. So I think this is perhaps one of those where its importance within the conservation area is probably something that we might want to pay a little bit more credence to than we perhaps do on some of the other applications. But that's only just a history lesson for you.
It's like having Rob here. Any other comments from anyone?
Don't we just hand this over to the conservation officer?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much on the previous ones we saw in this Piggeries area, we did object on the basis that it was in the previous, and it's an area that we need to protect at the end of the day.
They just need to get the application right, and if it gets turned down, they just do need to fork out for the more expensive windows. don't they?
Yeah, and getting the application right would help, wouldn't it? So, object, I think. Someone propose that? Thank you, Philip.
And that's unanimous.
Thank you. Oh, and that was it.
Well, we're not talking about Westway.
It's good, isn't it?
No,
No, I didn't put that on the agenda.
I thought it highlighted. It was
We can talk about it if you want to, Andy.
No, I'm happy with it.
Okay.
Rotary aren't, but there we are.
Aren't they? Oh, right.
Oh, no, I suppose they were using that side.
Yeah.
We're in, yeah, okay. Yeah, are we happy with, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, and can we
balance.
agree, vote on the other ones, please?
I think, happy with your comments?
Yeah.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Right, item number 7 on the agenda is, what we've all been waiting, a planning update.
Hooray.
Over to Owen. Lots of
Okay.
graphs, excellent, we do like a...
So it seemed like a good moment coming up to financial year end to do or Steve asked me at least to do an update on the last 6 months in terms of sort of the numbers and applications come through. It won't take long, there's not many. So just to give people an idea of the kind of volume of applications we get through over a 6-month period, this sort of shows for each 3-week committee meeting period how many applications we get through. So we average sort of just under 15 every 3 weeks. So, you know, that's interesting. Well, yeah. I mean, well, the 19th was just the extraordinary one. So that's a bit of an anomaly, but yeah. Yeah, it's sort of slumped a bit, sort of over the festive period, but anyway. This is a sort of, quite contingent, these numbers in terms of the types of application by ward, to read any meaning into it, but I thought I'd throw it in there anyway. You know, we get lots more applications in Market Ward. Most of them are trees and conservation areas, and household applications. And we get more full applications in Market Ward and Keywood Ward than anywhere else. In general, most other wards get household applications and other bits and bobs. So, you know. Tree and conservation area, yeah, sorry. And listed building consent, obviously in Market Ward, because that's where the most of the listed buildings are. And probably the most interesting bit is what our responses are and how they are then decided by Somerset Council. So in the last 6 months, we processed 133 applications came through, 124 responses that we submitted or voted on. Of those, 14 were objections, and from those objections, 5 of those were agreed with by Somerset and refused, and 2 of them were approved regardless. The outstanding number is still to be determined or other. In terms of no objections, those that we approved or agreed with, obviously a high proportion of those were approved by Somerset, but there were a number that were refused as well, and I just thought I'd give a summary of those. There's a list of all the objections that we have made for applications in Frome that were subsequently refused by the planning officer, including Holmbury Coast, Review nursing home. Oh, that was a tree application at review. The 5 garages near to Rodham Meadow, where there was a couple of small dwellings proposed there. They refused that one, and a few others there you can see. Yeah, I just thought I'd sort of throw in that garage one, which was quite interesting at the time. We objected due to scale, bulk, massing, proximity, and a whole bunch of other reasons highlighted there. And basically the planning officer reused it, according to my spelling on there, by virtue of similar arguments, actually. So, you know, that's good. Yeah, compliance with DP1, 7 and 5. Objections that we made that were subsequently allowed or permitted. Well, the first one there is the approval of conditions for Little Keyford Lane. We objected to gain a better understanding of drainage implications, but it was nevertheless approved. And 12A Foster Road, which was a bungalow, or let's flick to that actually, there you go. That was a bungalow that was proposed to be two semi-detached dwellings. We objected to that on the basis of unacceptable overlooking, overdevelopment, scale and massing, etc., and suggested we'd prefer to see a smaller scheme. But I mean, they don't give a rationale for approving, but they did anyway. So Somerset Council approved that application. And lastly, applications that we offered no objection to that were subsequently refused. So ones we liked that they didn't at Somerset. The retrospective listed building consent application on Castle Street, which I think was moving around some partitions and so forth. I think that was a technical refusal rather than, anything else, but yeah. And there was this one here at Ash Tree Road, which was to add similar to the one we looked at today, actually, add another dwelling on the side of the house you can see there in the image, which we thought was okay, but Somerset refused it. So yeah, that was overall design, impact on the character and appearance of the area. Doesn't constitute good design or contribute positively to the sense of place. That was the rationale for that. So yeah, just some interesting feedback almost on the applications we've sort of that we discuss, and that's it.
Thank you, Anna. I think it's really very useful. It's really useful to know how useful we are. Well, there has to be a point. We're coming in. I know we're a consultee, but obviously we're giving a local knowledge, and I don't always follow those through to see what happens to them. So it was really interesting to know that in the main we are on the right lines, I think.
Could you send them?
Yep, I'll send them through, and I think it's probably 6 months is a good interval to do that. I don't think we need to do it quarterly, maybe.
Do you want to close the meeting? So the next, thank you everybody.